New week, new couch cover, I guess. I certainly didn't pick these colors. It was all they had available. Got tired of that old school 70s vibe. Kind of freaked me out a little bit. So it was another weekend here in the heavy metal industry, and it was one that featured not a lot of releases. However, we do have to talk about one that was missed from last week, and also bring you 4 others. So this is 5 recently released heavy metal albums that you should certainly check out here in early February, the early stages of the month. And we're going to start off with the one that we missed, and that's Hooded Menace, and really it's better late than never. The brand new album by Hooded Menace is entitled Osarium Silhouettes Unhallowed. It's the 5th offering from these Death Doom giants, and if you're curious about this band, this is actually, I think, kind of a decent place to begin. It begins with its longest track, which is the 10-minute Sempiternal Grotesqueries, which displays the band's embrace of both songcraft as well as riff building, saddling their doom metal side with strong power. But it's actually tracks on this album such as Cathedral of Labyrinthian Darkness or Sharnel Reflections that really shine, which shows Hooded Menace's ability to write a really addictive riff and return to it so it can actually be saved to your memory. This is a very small touch of craft that enhances an already relatively strong deliverance from one of Death Doom's current best albums. This is a band with an album where you could get this album and then sort of proceed backwards in their discography, and you're going to get a great idea about how this band has grown throughout the years. Some may say that this is starting to become more and more, I guess, sort of run-of-the-mill. It's no longer boasting some of the sort of great raw sound that their earliest albums really employed. I think that this is a great evolutionary step in the proper direction. As the band continues to grow, they continue to morph. This is damn impressive. I like this one a lot, and I think you will as well. Long Distance Calling with their brand new album Boundless, and I think that Boundless is a really great title for a post-rock album, mostly because the horizon is very boundless for this genre. So Long Distance Calling can ebb and flow from mid-tempo to calm to aggressive on a razor's edge. This album really proves it. And the results are very solid compositions and comfortable listening. So, for example, examine the 9-minute opener, which is entitled Out There, to truly understand this idea. It's heavy when needed, and a slow, dreamlike build elevates the power of this song's frantic crescendo. Ascending draws power early on before descending into an instrumental comfort zone, while Like a River features a simple idea and makes it very big. This is something that they focus on throughout the entirety of the song, and it actually builds this song's character up quite nicely. The drumming also on this track is well executed and gives it a strong percussive backbone. Expect this fine balance throughout the entire album. With On the Verge, for example, it felt like a sort of unfurl-style catatonia that has somehow entered the goth prog zone with its very moody piano and its depressive beauty, which bleeds into the next track entitled Weightless. Instrumental music, I have to admit, is not something that is for everybody, but this is an album that may make those who aren't really a fan into one. This is very comfortable, it's a very enjoyable listen. Long Distance Calling has been doing this for years, and they continue to show why they deserve your listen. Definitely check this one out. You know, it's a shame that we're talking about this band now, considering this is their swan song LP, but it's kind of like saying hello and goodbye, and it gives you something else to explore. The band's name is Astrakhan, and the album title is Without New Growth. Process is Bloodshed. This is 40 minutes and 7 tracks, and it can almost be best supplied by the opening opus, which is a swirl of alt riffs with prog metal bite. The vocals here range from energetic cries, rough shouts, and clean confidence. And the pace changing really crafts tracks that are hard to put down, and Heaving Receiver is stock full of that prog traits, though taking a more stoner approach to riff shaping, so it does have a little bit of a different vibe to it. Mastodon's harsher tones meet some of the sensibilities of a Deftones or a Tool, or even some of the first age Evans Blue material, if I could go back to those days. Damn, I'm thinking of a track such as Painted, just, I want to listen to it now. But then Dominion starts off as a shred fest, so you go from sort of one extreme to the next. The range here now deflects comparisons to Protest the Hero, or even the Stand Your Ground toughness of the Dillinger Escape Plan, though the Controlled Chaos never falls far away from their nicer touches. This is an album that's really hard to put down, and the guitar work is built wonderfully to really hit at the right moments, while the percussive stampede rises and falls to punctuate the moodiness that was required. If you gave Mastodon a contemporary that was under the radar, that's Astrakhan, you know, as cutting teeth displays. If Tool needed to, you know, recall how to make a simple but hypnotic riff, A Change Begins offers that, but with a savage, metamorphic scream that Maynard would and probably should never attempt. Move over, Queen Baroness work. Damn. This kind of reminds me a little bit of hearing the band Clone for the first time and instantly finding love. The second half of this album opens strongly with Process's Bloodshed, but does start to peter out by the finale. But what a way to go out. I mean, you have to really give them some credit. This is well done and very wide-bodied. Godspeed to you, Astrakhan. Maybe if we make these guys famous, maybe they'll return down the line for another run. Scoop it out. With Thunderbolt, we have to understand something, and that's that Saxon aren't at an age where reinvention is really an option, but it's not that they ever really had the notion to do that. I just play some traditional heavy metal, throw some speed in here and there, and let Biff handle the rest with his ageless vocals. It's really kind of insane. Review over, right? Nah. Saxon on Thunderbolt opted to speak about some gods, from the Greeks to Odin to even those of Arthurian mystique, with Merlin, for example. Topics not that far off from some of their traditional repertoire, and the music is just kind of as easy to pin down, I'll be honest with you. Songs like Son of Odin and The Secret of Flight surge some aggression and spark some aggression, but are best remembered for their sturdy riffs and their meaty solos, tailor-made for metal bangers from the 1980s. Though, honestly, for Saxon, these are career character traits. These are things that you've seen throughout the past 20 years. Even on albums such as Metalhead, this is not something that's all that new. However, it may be something that was executed with just a very different pattern here or there. Predator actually features some growling vocals, which sound extremely strange on a Saxon track. However, whenever you grant the theme of the song, it actually poses as a nice touch. Most other tracks are mid-range speed / heavy metal that flows parallel to their recent outputs, along with Rhodey's song, which continues the tradition of allowing the final cut to be sort of off the cuff and really kind of fun. This is predictable, but it's still a fun album to listen to, even if it's something that you may just listen to once and then not return to for quite some time. Saxon is a band that over the past couple of albums have been producing these very sturdy, steady, heavy metal albums that are just sort of fun to listen to, because the band certainly has not lost a step. So, if you're curious, certainly check this one out. Saxon is still a very competent band that can release very competent material. We end today with Roush with their album Book 2, and this is a prog rock band that certainly is possessing a lot of strong Queen vibes whenever you get started with this one. It also really glisten with their frantic and powerful keyboard work. Composition has a very wide range, with most aiming for epic introspection, woven with a sense of the theatric. Swan Song gets us rolling after the lackluster Greener Grass starts us off. We are then met with a very emotionally charged Drain, which is a 10-minute highlight of the first half of this album, and really of the album in general. The achievement here is the melancholy vocals, which reflect a drained or depressed individual. So often temptation really is there to sort of over-inflect and overpower this emotion in music, you know, kind of how you sort of focus more on the frantic nature, focus more on the I'm so sad or I'm so pathetic or whatever that I want to scream, but instead Rausch nails it here. They actually put this in that tone of somebody who is so down on themselves that they're just laying on the couch or just waiting for life to end. This is something that's very well controlled, and I love this track for that, and I think that you will too. Irked is moody and pissed. Well, as pissed as this band could actually be. This sounds more like a semi-cheery classic prog rock track with its rich synth and its soft touch. The piano dominates half of the track, and then the guitar takes over. So for a song that spans 9 minutes, you get about 3 minutes of the pissed off Roush, and then a lot of the rest of this, you're dealing with instrumentalization, which is pretty well done. This track would have functioned tremendously, though, I think, just as an instrumental, as I think that tells a little bit more of a great, you know, a better story than the vocals did, which came off as a little bit hokey and at times kind of childish. as these parts are also, and they're also rich and free, these instrumental parts, and tell their own story. This is an album that's very rich in hits and misses like this. At times, the instrumentalization and the construction really shine. Sometimes our vocalists show some promise. The real problem with this album that I see is that it's only a couple of times, such as with Drain, where both of those things come together, shake hands, and really make for, you know, a really tremendous experience. This is one that's only about average. But if you are a prog rock fan and you are curious about a new band to potentially scope out, Roush might be the exploration that ends up being more for you than it was for me. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. In the description box below, you're going to see links for the UK, the US, and the Canadian Amazon sites where you can pick up some of these records. Now, whenever it comes to Astrakhan, I believe, the only place that you can go is Bandcamp. That link is also down there, so you can scope these albums out and give them a purchase if you like them. I really encourage it, because this is how some of these bands stay afloat. You know, will we have a book 3 from Rausch without that? Plus, we're also running a deal over with those Amazon pages. You can get whatever you want whenever you click on those links, but if we get 10,000 albums sold in 2018, there's going to be a $1,000 donation that is going to go to a couple of charities. So definitely consider that, even if it's just once. Thank you very much. I'm coverkillernation, and I'll speak with you guys next time whenever we speak about a couple of more recent releases that you should certainly examine. Take care.